to Courage Conversations with Joy Millhouse. I speak with women who made brave decisions when fear was present. Today, I'm joined by a lifelong friend, more like a sister, Miss Benita Carter, who's a mother, a grandmother, and so many other things. I'll let you share that yourself. But thank you for joining us and here on Courage Conversations. And let us go ahead and get started.
Okay.
So, the first question is, what decision in your life felt the most risky at the time that you made it?
Oh, probably when I had children, started having children, when I had my daughter. That was
Hmm.
probably the most challenging decision. But I made it through it, ups and downs, trials and tribulations. I made it through it.
Okay. So, what was the? I know there's a lot of elements to,
Hmm.
giving birth, not just to a child, but to your first child. What was the part of it that gave you the most fear when you learned that you were pregnant?
Being a mother at a young age, at 19, the fear of succeeding with her, making good choices that will reflect in her life as she got older and eventually had children. So I think I had to make every decision with her in mind as far as
Yeah,
life
that's
goes, from beginning to this point right now. So my choices, even now, I make a lot of choices concerning her, her kids, my son as well. So I think it was just the right choices that I had to make and decisions in life.
now you say a very important word, choices.
Hmm.
Um, that's something that we certainly are aware of as mature adults. But do you think you really recognize that it was a choice at 19 when you learned that you were pregnant?
Um, well, there were options, obviously,
Hmm.
but being from a religious background, my mother, father, grandparents, at that time, it was a scary decision to make to say, yes, I'm going to keep this child and do the best I can to raise her. Um, my mother was 100% in my corner. My dad was in my corner. So I had a lot of support raising her. So that diminished some of the fear, but not all of it, because I knew that eventually I was going to have to take on the full responsibility myself eventually in life. So that was probably the biggest fear.
The biggest fear would have been managing that responsibility on your own.
Hmm. Hmm. Exactly. But
And that,
I did pretty good. I have to say so. I think I did pretty good. She don't say so, but
well, I mean, I was around you. We were
yeah.
in each other's lives during that same time. And
Hmm.
I would definitely say you have the support of your parents, and
Hmm.
that because I had the support of your parents too.
Yeah,
So I think that's what God helped tremendously get you through it. Um,
definitely.
so, was there anything outside of your religious beliefs, your faith that helped that grounded you in making the right what you perceived as the right choice? Was there
Hmm.
anything that almost stopped you?
Um, I probably would say a lot of decisions that her dad was making at the time
Mhm.
wasn't good decisions. So I had to do a double step, so to speak, to make sure that I tried to keep her on the right road, as far as her going to school, her working, her future life, because he wasn't in her life like he should have been. Maybe the first 3 or 4 years after that, he wasn't there. So the decisions I made was all for her. And then
Right.
my son came along, so decisions were made for both of them. Then grandkids came along, so now the decisions and the choices I make now in life, I have to think, okay, this is a reflection of my grandkids. How will they see me if they see me react in a negative way in something? So everything I do is pretty much based on making sure that I make a good decision with my family. And I
Right.
think I learned a lot of that from my mom.
I would agree. So is it's got to be the nature of just being women and our
Hmm.
role to nurture. Uh,
Yeah.
but in asking these questions, I'm really trying to get a handle on you, what
Okay.
what you were experienced when were in that moment of making that decision. Not necessarily in that moment, because well, we know that the process of having a baby takes
Hmm.
more than a moment, but
Yeah.
um, when you reflect back on, again, taking you back to those early years, 19,
Hmm.
and you've mentioned the support of your family, what helped you move forward? Other 19-year-olds were getting ready for college, they had
Hmm.
other interests, going to parties, you know,
Exactly.
what helped you move forward at that age?
Definitely family, prayer, my church family, being an unwed mother at that time, it was kind of frowned upon in my church community. Um, being going to Church of God in Christ, it was kind of frowned upon. 19, you got a baby on the way. But my pastor and first lady, they embraced me. They was like, you were one of the first kids here. So, with their children. So we just gonna make sure that you okay. So with an advanced and extended community family, my church family, I had neighbors that was there for me. So I had a lot of people to support me um, before, doing, after. So I had a lot of support. Even your mom supported, when we talked, and she just encouraged me, when I think she would see stress on my face, and she would say, "Oh, Nita, it's gonna be okay. You're gonna be all right." So now I still hear her encouragement, my mom's encouragement, my dad's
Mhm.
encouragement. So I still carry a lot of that with me even now today.
Mm, that's beautiful, and so that's why you try to do the same thing in the lives of your own children and grandchildren,
Hmm.
because that's
Yeah,
what was given to you. That makes sense.
absolutely. Hmm.
So we can go ahead and fast forward to today. Looking back on your life, then what did you learn from that experience?
Patience. I learned a lot of patience. Um, and learning patience with taking care of a child, a preemie child at that.
Yes.
Um, it fast forward me, like you said, fast forward to today. It gave me the patience to be able to take care of my mom.
Mm.
So that was my biggest experience. I learned a lot of patience dealing with her over the years. So,
I saw you in action. You were very patient with your mom, and I know it was a situation at times that required more than a
more than a lot of patience.
right. So, but I saw you in action, and you definitely exhibited that. Now,
Okay.
what would you say to a woman facing the same decision? And I ask that for you to look at that situation of a young mother, 19-year-old,
Hmm.
learning that she's pregnant. Let's let's look at that today from the woman you are today, who is speaking to a mother like Mrs. Carter was in your life at that time, who may
Hmm.
meet with a similar situation. Their 18-year-old, 19-year-old daughter learning that they're pregnant. I'd like to start there. I'm going to ask you this question from two levels first, but I
Okay.
want to start there first.
That's kind of a tough question in today's world. Because a lot of young girls they fixated a lot on social media, and they see social media, they see the stars, and they walking around here with babies like they're Chanel bags, Louis Vuitton bags. And babies are not bags. They're not something that you can put in the closet, till you wear those shoes that match the bag or you going out. A baby is a 24-hour, 7-day a week job. And if they're not mentally ready for it, I'm not going to say don't do it, but you have to think about your options, because if you don't have support of a community, family, literally a village nowadays, you won't make it. You'll make it, but it'll be extremely, extremely hard. at 19, especially if you don't have education, if you don't have some kind of employment, somebody that's going to 100% help you. Because the boy, the man, he'll say, oh, yeah, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be the dad. Couple of weeks in, he gone.
Mm.
He see the next little pretty girl walking around. She don't have any kids, no responsibility. And that's where he's going. So she's stuck 19, 20, 21. Didn't finish, maybe she didn't finish school, maybe she just started college. Now she got to stop or put it on pause in order to take care of the baby, to get the baby to a point where they feel comfortable taking them to daycare. Now you got another issue. So it's a serious thing to think about. It's not an easy task. So it's got to be somebody that you have in your life. You got to have somebody in your life that's going to give you 100% support, because if not, it's a hard world out here. And the way things are now, the way prices are going up, um, it's hard for somebody 19 now to have a baby and be able to succeed in life, to get to 35 or 40 and have a lot of things if they don't have the support. It's based on family.
Yes, that's true, and I think you answered both of my questions because my next I was going to ask you the same question, but I'll
Mm-hmm,
say, how would you what would you say to a young woman, another a 19-year-old woman, and you're a 19-year-old woman facing
mm-hmm.
the same decision? So if you were 19 and you had a 19-year-old friend that was met with the same heavy decision, would your advice to her be the same as what you just shared with me?
It would be the same. It would definitely be the same, especially if I knew she was in a predicament that she didn't have support of her mom, her dad, um, literally a community, a neighborhood that's 100% there. Because back when I was 19, we had a community. We had neighbors, we had friends, we had our friends' parents that helped us, that was there for us. Nowadays, the mothers that have a 19-year-old child, they busy getting high and drinking with them. So you don't have that kind of structure like we had then, like in our age group. They don't have that now like we did. So
Yes,
it would be a hard decision. It would be a choice that she'd have to think and pray on long and hard, because prayer is the answer. So if she's got a good prayer life and a good community, she can make it, but it'll be rough. It'll definitely be rough on her.
yeah,
So I would just tell her, you have to, I'm not gonna say be selfish, but you have to think about self first. What are your goals when you're 25? What are your goals when you're 30? um, will a child hinder you from reaching your 25-year-old goal? And if your answer is yeah, I'm not going to say if you have it, put it up for adoption, or if you have it, maybe give temporary custody to somebody that can best take care of it until you reach your goal. Stay in the baby's life so they'll know who you are. Reach your goal, and then when you know you can 100% take care of your baby, then gradually maybe see what you have to do to get the baby back so you can be the mother that you want to be to her, to the child. But if you know you don't have a community, that's a hard pill to follow, to swallow, because if you don't have it, then it's rough out here. It's really rough. 2026 is nothing like 1985 when I had my daughter.
no,
Nothing like
not at all. It isn't.
it.
And I
Hmm.
know that you have several courageous stories
Hmm.
to share, and we've only tapped into one of them today. I'd like
Hmm.
to invite you back for another, if
Oh,
you don't mind,
absolutely.
for another
Absolutely.
time where you could share another one
Hmm.
of your stories where you didn't allow fear stop you from.
Hmm.
First of all, sometimes we allow fear to even keep us from making a decision. So,
Absolutely.
but you didn't allow fear to stand in your way in that manner. You went on to make the decision and what you felt was the right decision for you at
Hmm.
that time. And I appreciate you taking the time to share your courageous story with us today. So, like I said, I'm going to
Absolutely.
invite you back. I'm going to
Okay.
invite you back again.
Okay.
All right. Now, this is a perfect place for us to close. So,
Okay.
thank you so much for
Oh, you're
sharing your
welcome.
story with us today.
You're welcome.